Hi everyone, Dr. Courtney Smalley here. Now today we're going to spend some time answering some pretty tough and hard questions that you might get in your next interview. And the next one is probably the most popular one that we hear about all the time. Tell me about yourself. And in this video, I'm going to perhaps give you some ways to approach it to give you the best answer if this comes up in your next interview. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. So again, today's conversation is all about the most popular and probably the hardest question out there. Tell me about yourself. Now, as a recruiter for the past 13 years, this is a question that I sometimes try to avoid when I'm working directly with applicants, but sometimes hiring managers want to start with this question because it is so vague. It also really provides you as a candidate to really set the tone of the interview. Whenever that question is asked to you directly, tell me about yourself, recruiters and hiring managers are looking for you to approach it in three different ways. The very first one is really the personal answer. So perhaps you're going to tell us about your kids, maybe some things you do in your fun time. It's really a chance and an opportunity for you to tell us a little bit more about who you are outside of your resume. Only because as we're preparing to interview you for your next job opportunity, we've already spent a lot of time researching you, going over your submitted documentation. So if you decide to take the personal approach, it just allows the team to really get to know who you are holistically. And it's also not a bad way to really break the ice when the interview team is getting to know you for the very first time. The second approach that many job seekers do is they take the professional approach. So when they're asked, tell me about yourself, a lot of candidates will typically go down the path of how long they've been working in their industry, if they are maybe a recent grad from a university, why they've always wanted to work in said discipline. And I always think this is a really great path too. But like I said in my very first answer, oftentimes the interview committee or the interview panel, we've already spent a lot of time looking over your documentation. So we already know a lot about why you want to go into IT. We already know that you just earned your bachelor's degree in nursing. So the professional path isn't a bad path to take, but it's one that we already know. And now we're going to move into the third approach that job seekers will use when they're answering this question. Tell me about yourself. This is perhaps my favorite path, and you spend a lot more time discussing where you are in your current career and what you're looking for, and ultimately how this position or this company can help you get to your career goals. Now, again, oftentimes when that question is proposed to you, the interview panel is typically looking for roughly 2 to 3 minutes, and it's often a question that is very vague on purpose because we want to see how you're going to answer that question within those three paths that we talked about: the personal, the professional, or ultimately how this position or that company is going to support your goals. Now, I'll be honest, everyone, oftentimes that's the very first question that's asked in an interview style, but it's also one of the questions that's typically not graded. So that gives you as the candidate the opportunity to really be creative with storytelling. Most times when I have sat on interview panels for a certain position, we might be interviewing 5 to 7 people for the same job. Of course, we have a list of questions that we have to go through, but that very first question, tell me about yourself, it really gives you the chance to stand out amongst your competition, because most candidates, again, will decide to take that professional path. Some of them may take that personal path, but as a recruiter myself, I'm always looking to know where you are in your career journey and specifically how this next opportunity or this company can help you get closer to those personal or those professional career goals. So everyone, that completes our conversation today about the question, tell me about yourself. If you would like to see me cover more questions about some of the more tough or more complex questions that you might get in your interview, comment them below and I will see you in the next one.